Credit cards are one of the most popular and convenient means of paying for things. They are accepted virtually everywhere. In fact, as we become more of a cashless society, credit card usage is only expected to increase. However, despite their convenience and ease of use, there are some very important things you should know that can help you ensure you never run into any problems managing your credit debt. We'll also go over the effect of only paying the minimum amount due each month. Let's start by going over what a minimum payment is. Put simply, it's the amount your credit card issuer requires you to pay each monthly billing cycle to avoid penalties and late fees. The amount is typically between 2 to 3% of the statement balance. So, for example, if you have a total balance of $10,000, the minimum payment would likely be around $200 or $300. What's important to know, though, is that paying the minimum amount doesn't help decrease your overall debt by that much. This is because the minimum payment amount is designed to cover at least the interest accrued over the period and only a small portion of the principal balance. With a clear understanding of what the minimum payment is, let's look at a scenario where we can see the real cost of paying the minimum over 5 years. Let's imagine that the fictitious person Paul has a balance of $10,000 at a 15% annual interest rate. Paul decides to only pay the minimum amount each month. After 5 years, Paul will have paid a total amount of $9,692. That's nearly the entire principal amount at the beginning. However, because of interest, $6,058 of the amount he paid was to solely cover interest accrued, leaving Paul with a credit balance of $6,365 to still pay off. For Paul to completely cover the debt by just paying the minimum each month, it would take over 32 years. Over this period, he would have paid a total of around $25,582 to the credit card company, with a staggering $15,579 going towards interest alone. After looking at Paul's scenario, you know that a credit card balance can grow significantly, even with regular payments. This is where compound interest plays a role. Compound interest is interest on the principal amount, plus whatever interest has already accrued. To make it easier to understand, you can think of compound interest like a snowball rolling down a hill. The snowball is your credit card debt. As it rolls, it picks up more snow. The snow it picks up as it rolls is compound interest. The longer it rolls without being stopped, the bigger it gets. So with compound interest, you end up paying interest on the interest, and your debt snowball gets bigger over time, even if you keep making payments. For credit card debt, this compounding typically happens each day, which means every day the unpaid balance carries forward, growing a little bit even if no new purchases are made. This is why the minimum payment, often just covering the interest plus a small part of the principal, can lead to a much longer repayment period than one might expect. Let's look back at the example of Paul's situation. His credit card has a 15% annual interest rate. This rate is divided by the number of days in the year to calculate the daily interest rate. Each day, this daily rate is applied to the total balance Paul carries, increasing the total amount he owes. This compounding effect is why Paul's debt remains substantial even after 5 years of payments. If he continues to pay only the minimum, the interest will keep compounding, and the majority of his payments will go towards the compounded interest that keeps accumulating, rather than reducing the principal balance. If you pay the minimum amount for a credit card on time, your credit score won't directly be affected. Credit risk agencies consider payment history as the most important factor when calculating your credit score. However, if you have a high credit utilization ratio, then only paying the minimum amount might be preventing you from improving your score, or, depending on the scenario, negatively impacting it. This is because, after payment history, credit risk agencies consider your credit utilization ratio the second most important factor when giving you a score. Your credit utilization ratio is the amount of credit you have used, divided by the total amount of credit you have available. It is expressed as a percentage. A high credit utilization ratio shows that you're overly reliant on credit. If your credit utilization ratio is high and you keep making minimum payments, Credit risk agencies may see that as an indication that you are struggling to pay down your debt, negatively impacting your score. Experts suggest keeping your credit utilization rate under 30%. So, for example, if you have a credit card with a credit limit of $10,000, then you would need to keep a balance of no more than $3,000 to stay under the 30% recommended limit. If you can, try paying more than the minimum each month. This will help you knock down the principal balance much faster. By doing so, you will be out of debt faster and not be trapped paying excessive interest. If you are struggling to find ways to increase your payments, then the next step is to begin budgeting and expense tracking. By tracking your expenses, you can identify where you can cut back. By budgeting, you can effectively plan where your money will go each month. Sticking to a budget can do wonders if you don't have a full understanding of where your money is going. There are plenty of apps designed to help you keep track of this, or you can even use an Excel spreadsheet. It's important to note that credit cards aren't bad, but having a better understanding how to use them is vital. By avoiding the minimum payment trap, you're on your way to better financial health. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to our channel for more financial insights. Thank you for watching.